dudes and dudettes. So yes, Duke does land the power forward / center coming out of high school next year, Vernon Carey. He was like a top 3 guy, so it's like the 4th or 5th straight year that Duke has gotten like a top 3 guy out of high school, so that's really cool. Then also they did beat up earlier this week against Hartford by 30. So that was good to see. Good thing that they did that. I think it was like a 10-point game at halftime, so it was kind of sketchy at first, but luckily they got that, so that's good to see. And they play tonight too, but you'll obviously see that result in a few days from now. So earlier this week, the Lakers did beat the Spurs, and LeBron had 42. It was a crazy fourth quarter. They came back and got the W. It was just crazy how it happened. And they did play, I believe, yesterday against the Spurs as well, but they ended up losing that game somehow, even though they were leading most of the time. And then tonight they play Memphis, so they're on a back-to-back. But once again, you'll see that result in the next video. And then also they had them wondering about trades for the Lakers. Bradley Beal and Kemba Walker obviously have come up. I mentioned them in my Lakers videos of trades that I said that I wanted those 2 guys. I think you can still be able to make that trade, even both those trades in the same year this year, but obviously like Alonzo Ball would go to Charlotte, but you also have to throw in draft picks and maybe another player or 2. And then for Beal, you would have to give up like a Brandon Ingram and, you know, somebody else. I would say almost a Josh Hart, but is that asking a little bit too much? But if you do, then don't give up any draft picks. But if it's just Brandon Ingram, then you'll probably have to throw in draft picks as well. So it should be interesting what goes down towards the rest of the season, especially towards the trade deadline. Should be very interesting. And then they asked if the Lakers were interested in Carmelo Anthony, because LeBron had put his hat in saying that he wanted him on the team, but luckily and surprisingly they didn't go to his wishes and said that they're not interested in him. So I think it'd just be a wasted roster spot. I mean, a lot of the guys even on the Lakers roster aren't really doing much, especially at the back end, and I think he'd just be there too. So it's good to see that they haven't succumbed to LeBron's power yet. So a little bit of USC news. Looks like Randall Grimes, the wide receiver who's been there for the past few years, is going to transfer for the end of the season. It's a bad thing because obviously you lose another pretty talented player coming out of high school when he did, but I think it might be leading towards them getting a few of these 5-star wide receivers. So that's the only good thing about it, especially since Cliff Kingsbury is officially the offensive coordinator, so you can get a lot more talented players like a Kyle Ford out of Orange Lutheran, or even Brew McCoy out of Mater Dei as well. Having those 2 guys come at the same time will just be a monster, and USC would be unstoppable in my opinion with Kingsbury calling the plays. Then Puka Nacua, he was named the Gatorade Player of the Year in the state of Utah, the wide receiver who's been committed to USC so far this year. So that's awesome. It would be great to have him. He's looking like a great wide receiver even before he won that award, and pairing him up with any of these other guys that we can hopefully get will be awesome as well. And then also a few guys that accepted invites to the Senior Bowl were Cam Smith, the linebacker from USC, Chuma Edoga, the left tackle, and the safety Marvell Tell. So they have an extra game to show what they can do and what their abilities are. Just finally, Edoga's finally off the USC roster. But yes, good luck to all those guys, and hopefully they all get drafted. So Melvin Gordon looks like he's going to be out again. It's not really that surprising. They said a few weeks ago it's going to be a couple weeks, so not really going that crazy about it. It should be an easy win against Cincinnati, but you just never know. Then also they did have to sign another player to the practice squad. So they signed a wide receiver, Justin Liggins, after bringing up Dylan Cantrell the other day. That's good to see. And also, I think I did report that the offensive coordinator for the Chargers was going to go interview for the Georgia Tech coaching job, but he's looking like he's going to stay with the Chargers at least for one more year. So that's good to see, especially since they're playing really well right now on the offensive side. And then also they're talking about Derwin James, about how great of a player he is. And of course, I was saying that the whole entire time before the draft, and luckily he landed to the Chargers. And they're saying he's like an Ed Reed, Sean Taylor, like a mix of a lot of those guys, even like a Cam Chancellor. But I think he's even obviously better than even like an Ed Reed, because he could play the linebacker, he could play up close like on the nickel too. So I mean, he's way more versatile like that, so that's always great to have on your team. And then that weird funny picture of Derwin James jumping over Joey Bosa just shows how bright our future is with how young of these talented players we have on defense, and it's just so glad that they're on our team. Yes, for some reason, Grayson Allen was demoted to the Utah Jazz's G League team, but in his first game, he scored like 27 points, and then that game right there where he played against another ex-Duke player in Frank Jackson had over 20 points, and Grayson Allen still threw in a double-digit game, almost a double-double. There's a lot of brotherhood love there from Duke, and obviously, I don't know why Grayson Allen was wasted there. He should be getting a lot more playing time anyways, because he can show that he's still dominating once he gets to the G League. So there's really no point in putting him there, but I guess that's just what they're doing right now because of Kyle Korver, I believe. They posed the question if the Lakers already regret drafting Moritz Wagner out of Michigan, just because he hasn't really played, and even when he did get in, he scored like 10 points in that garbage time, but really other than that, he hasn't really got much playing time. Obviously, there was a few other guys they could have chose at that time that have become better players, but who would have known that they would have. But it's just what you got to do. I guess they got to just wait and see for him, and hopefully he does end up staying healthy. Then the Anaheim Ducks earlier this week got a W against the Chicago Blackhawks. Sorry about that, Dad. But yes, they did. And then I think they recently lost too, so their win streak came to an end. But luckily it was a win streak and not a losing streak anymore. And then Derek Fisher, an ex-Laker point guard, he is going to be the coach for the LA Sparks in the WNBA, so that's really cool. Give him an opportunity like that. I know his opportunity in the NBA didn't go so well, but hopefully this one does go for him with the LA Sparks. So if the NBA draft was today, this is how the order would be, especially when it comes to Duke players and who the Lakers would draft. So the Phoenix Suns would select Zion Williamson number 1, Chicago Bulls would select RJ Barrett number 2, and the Atlanta Hawks would select Cam Reddish number 3. And also a USC guy who's finally making the come-ups on these draft boards at number 5 to the New York Knicks would be Kevin Porter Jr. It's awesome for him to be there, so it's great that they're finally seeing how talented he is and how much better he would be in the NBA, so that's really cool. And the Lakers would choose a center out of Texas named Jackson Hayes. Apparently he's a really good defender and rebounder. Needs some more help on the offensive end, but he could rim run, so just a younger version of JaVale McGee, I guess, and Tyson Chandler kind of mix, but just still needs work on the offense, but he is a young player, so you would hope that develops, but pretty sure there's other players that they can choose at that point. And obviously when we get to there in about 7 months or so, even more, then I'll definitely give you guys, guys and girls, my thoughts on who they should pick, of course. But we have to wait to see how this NBA and college season goes. It should be interesting. And also making it late into the first round, the very last pick for the San Antonio Spurs would be Trey Jones, the point guard from Duke as well. He made it in there as well. So that would be 4 Duke players going in the first round, 5 players from both of my teams going in the first round. So pretty good percentage as far as guys getting picked in the first round, all going to different teams. That would be really cool. Definitely a lot more teams to kind of cheer for, so for those guys to get their stats. But excuse me, should be a very interesting season, like I said, going forward. Thanks for watching, people. Like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know what y'all think, and have a great rest of your day.